class of NTW2025. So, welcome to Kanban Project Program and Portfolio Management, a Map to Business Agility class. So, our trainer for this morning is an expert in Kanban systems improvement. So, he has over 20 years of agile transformation experience, and he is an HRD Corp and Kanban University accredited trainer and an enterprise agile coach. He has worked across industries, helping teams optimize their workflow globally. So let's get ready for a hands on learning and advanced insights into continuous improvement. So please help me welcome Sir Vasan.
Yeah, thank you, Tony, for the introduction. Hello, everyone. Good morning and welcome to this session on Kanban project, program, and portfolio management. Just give me a moment. I will just share my screen. I hope all of you can see my screen. So
Yes,
today's
sir.
session is on Kanban project, program, and portfolio management. It's basically a map to business agility, and it's called as KPPM. Not many would have heard of this or would be aware of KPPM. This is another area apart from the normal Kanban subject areas and trainings that we do. So here the focus is on how Kanban can be applied for project, program, and portfolio. So we will see that there is a lot of depth here and we have a framework in place, and it helps us to understand how Kanban is applied to project, program, and portfolio management. And this is a one-day program, and we will be teaching you all about how to use the framework for applying it for your project, program, and portfolio management. You get an idea of how to manage your project in an agile manner. So agile project management, and it will build your skills as a project, program, or portfolio manager to use Kanban for managing your project and showing better outcomes and business value for your customer. With this background, let's move forward. So what are the elements essential for understanding true organizational adaptability? So we already know that the market is changing. Every day, a lot of changes happen. And now in this age of AI, a lot of changes are happening at a very fast pace. Difficult for organizations to adapt easily. So we need some framework, some technique, some method by which we can adapt our projects to whatever changes are happening in the AI world and also in the other areas. So one of the ways by which we can do that to get good organizational adaptability is by using different techniques. And today we are seeing one of those techniques, which is KPPM, that is Kanban for project, program, and portfolio management. As part of this framework, we need to understand the first important thing. What are the elements essential for understanding organizational adaptability? And those three things are, first, we develop a systemic understanding of how the enterprise operates. Suppose you are working in an organization is an enterprise. It has got a lot of things. The organization will do project, it will do program, it will do portfolio, lot of things it will do. So how do you manage all these things using a specific technique, using a single framework? And that is where we discuss about how Kanban can be used for managing these things. So we need to develop a systemic understanding of how the enterprise operates. So you may know how your department operates, but do you know how other departments in your enterprise operate? So you should know how all the departments in your enterprise operate and also have an overall picture, roughly. And that is what is called systemic understanding. It's also known as systems thinking. So in order for organizational adaptability, we need to develop systems thinking. So we'll be looking at all of these things in the course, in this one-day program, where we learn how to develop a systemic understanding of how the enterprise operates, how to manage the flow of work. So we need to understand how the flow of work happens. The work flows from point A to point B to point C, point D, and then finally it goes to the customer. So how does this work flow? And how does it cut across various departments? And it removes the silos. And as part of that, how do you deliver the work to the customer? So the flow of work has to be managed optimally. So we need to look at flow efficiency. That is the second element. And then the third element, how do we build a collaborative, purpose-driven culture? So we have a lot of teams in the department and in the enterprise, but these teams are all working separately in silos. One team may not be discussing much with the other team, and within the team also there may not be that much discussions. So Kanban implementation helps us to build a collaborative culture with a focused purpose and a goal, which helps us to achieve the outcomes for the customer. And we will see how to build a collaborative culture and what are the various aspects we need to look at in the teams to build this culture. So in this one-day program, I'll be teaching you all these things, plus how to do the flow of work, how to do a collaborative culture, and how to understand systems thinking. So this will equip you with all the skills necessary as a project manager, program manager, or portfolio manager to do your work even more effectively in your organization. So now with that background, now let us look at what is KPPM. When we say KPPM, it is a model. So we have different terms like model, framework, and various other things. So when we say model, it means that it represents the reality. Reality is dynamic, models are static. So whatever happens in reality, it is mimicked by the model, but there will be some lag will be there. But that lag is kept to the minimum when we use a model, because a model has many variables, many parameters which mimic the reality. So we can assume that using the model, we are very close to reality, but not exactly reality, because nobody can do that. But we'll always be one step behind reality, but at least we'll be very close to reality. So that is what is called a model. So scientists, researchers, and other people use models to mimic various things which they cannot visualize, and they use computer models and other models to see how things will happen and how to predict for the future. The same way we use models for managing our project also, so that we know where we are in our project and how we can manage it more effectively. So what is KPPM? KPPM is an evolutionary model that integrates principles, practice, and cultural values for developing business agility. So whenever we say model, it will always have these standard elements. Any model or framework or anything else you say, most of them will have values. Most of them will have principles. And then we'll have practices. So the hierarchy is like this. At the highest level, you have values, then you have principles, and at the lower level, you have practices. And still at the lower level, below practices, you have tools. I might use different tools to manage my activities, implement the practices, which are based on values and principles. So KPPM is nothing different. It's also a model which has its own cultural values. It integrates the principles and the values, and it explains how those things can be implemented by using practices and tools. So these help us to develop business agility for the customer. So if we are able to implement KPPM for our organization, for our project, then the team is working on KPPM as an evolutionary model, and it will be able to deliver the project successfully in a better way for the customer. Now, when we say evolutionary model, what is evolutionary? So we look at the human evolution. So we came from apes. So over millions of years, we have been evolving. So slowly, we were different types of species till finally we became the Homo sapiens species. We became the species known as humans. So we have evolved over millions of years. Similarly, when we say evolutionary model, it also evolves. So the model has got multiple levels, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, like that, multiple levels are there. Any model will have different levels, then it's called an evolutionary model. And each level will have its own practice, principles, values, etc. I will show you that also what it is, the different levels in KPPM. And during this one-day program, we'll be learning all these things. So when we say evolutionary model in KPPM, we have 4 levels: level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4. And if your team is mature, you will be at level 4. That is the highest maturity. If your team is just starting out, you will be at level 1. So level 1 is lowest, level 4 is highest. And as you mature, you will go from level 1 to level 2, level 2 to level 3, and level 3 to level 4. Theoretically, you can go from level 1 to level 3, but generally that is not recommended. You always go from one level to next, do all the practices, principles, values, understand that, then go to next level. And then when you go to level 4, you are considered as a high performing team. So you will be performing at the highest level, delivering value for the customer, and thereby improving business agility, and the customer will be satisfied to a great extent because you're able to meet his requirements. Now, in order to see how to do that, that is what we'll be discussing in this one-day program. What is KPPM and what focus we need to do and how we can implement Kanban for all the projects, programs, and portfolios in our company. For that, we already saw the 3 elements. We saw systems thinking, we saw flow thinking, and we also saw collaborative culture. So these are the 3 key elements that we need to put in place and then build the model and then implement KPPM for our organization, thereby deriving benefits and delivering value for the customer. So if you see here, systems and flow thinking enables organizations to continuously improve the outcomes. So it is not we just implement and we leave it at that. We do it and we continuously keep improving our outcome to do better and better. So that is the focus. Because Kanban is also known as a continuous improvement method. Its focus is on continuously improving your work. So today you are at this level, tomorrow you should be at the next higher level. And KPPM very nicely mimics that as it has 4 levels. So you may be today at level 1, you are struggling and trying to put the basic practice, principles, values in place. After you're stabilized, maybe 6 months down the line or something like that, you may go to next level. And then like that, you can go to higher levels till you stabilize at level 4, which is the highest level, and where you are in a high performing mode and delivering value to the customer. You may go from level 1 to level 4, maybe in 2 years or so, something around that for a typical team, as you start building your skills and the team becomes better and better. So that is a rough indicative timeline that we have. So now that you understood this, let us look at why should we look at KPPM. There are so many frameworks, models and all. Why we are looking at KPPM? So that you will understand when you understand this question. Why do project organizations challenges persist? So we are doing a project in our company. We are working as part of the team. But we have a lot of challenges in our project. So why do these challenges persist? Why are these challenges there? Because you have a lot of constraints in the company, outside environment, etc., and constraints in the team. So of course you'll have challenges, and it will always be there. So you need to know how to tackle the challenges and deliver more value for the customer. And that is why we are looking at KPPM as a model which will help us to bring more success for a project. So now the question that we have to look at is, what current problems do you want to resolve? What are the problems you want to resolve when you are doing a project for your company? You will have a lot of problems, right? So how do you want to resolve and what do you want to resolve? Let's look at that. Okay, what are the challenges that the project organization faces? So Gartner is a market research firm. They had identified that there is a gap between the typical project management office functions, PMO functions, and those that are needed for an adaptive organization. So you see here, there is an incomplete or missing strategic partnership with business leaders. So because of which there is a gap between business and technology. So what the team delivers and what the business wants, there is a gap. And that is not bridged. So the customer is not very happy and he says, I asked for this, but you gave something else. So if you see here, you can see that there is an incomplete or missing strategic partnership with business leaders. there is a lack of understanding of key business strategies and what are the desired business outcomes. We don't know this because there is a gap between business and technology. Business will be saying, let us do the strategy. Technology will be saying, how can we do this? We don't understand this, and there is a gap. So that gap has to be bridged if you want to do better project management and deliver more value for the customer. So that is one aspect. The second aspect, there is no collaborative portfolio prioritization process between business leaders and the PMO. So you see, for the projects to function effectively and the company to deliver value for the customer, you should have some collaboration between the business leader and the PMO. If you don't have good collaborative processes between business leader and the PMO, and you don't have proper portfolio prioritization, again you'll have a gap and you'll have to see how to manage the things effectively. So that is another thing which you need to look at. The next point is missing PMO competencies supporting strategic portfolio alignment and continuous delivery. So we may have some PMO competencies which are lacking, and we need to support those strategic portfolio alignment and continuous delivery. So we need to see how to build those skills. And then the last point, there is no strategy and tactics for communication and organizational change. We cannot simply do organizational change just like that, because that will not work properly, because people will be surprised and they don't know what is happening. And there is no strategy and tactics for communication. So we also need to have some strategy and some tactics. Tactics are nothing but techniques for managing on a daily basis and how to do the daily communication, etc. So we need to have all these things in place. Then only our project can be more successful and we can deliver more value to the customer. Similarly, we have another study from Project Insight, survey from 2022. The top 4 challenges for project organizations are: there is lack of visibility of all projects. The project teams don't know the visibility for the future projects. The senior management would have the knowledge on what are the projects coming in the next 6 months, next 1 year and all. But that same information may not have been passed on to the teams. So they don't know. There is a lack of visibility of all projects. They are currently working on the current project. And maybe they will know one more project will come after some few months. But beyond that, they don't have visibility. So they should have visibility of all the projects so that they know how to plan their activities and schedule accordingly. The next point is unclear project objectives. So the project objectives are very unclear. So the team does not know whether they should be doing this activity or some other activity. So because of that, the objectives are not fulfilled fully. So the team should have a mechanism for having clear project objectives. So everybody knows what exactly they are contributing to. The next point is no visibility in the workload, resource workload. So what is resource workload? It is the load of the person who is working in the project. Assuming you have 4 or 5 people working in the project and each person is having a different workload. One person is overloaded, one person is less load, one person is equally loaded. So that visibility into the resource workload is not very clear. So that also has to be in place so that people are not tired out and they can achieve the project goals easily. And finally, the very important point where most of the projects fail, there is a gap in communication. So the business may say something, the technology will say something else, team will say something else, and like that slight gap is there. So people don't understand exactly what is required. So we need to be very clear in communication, what exactly we are doing and whether the customer has understood what we are going to give to him. That is why we engage in regular dialogue with the customer and we see that we can meet the customer requirements as effectively as possible. So it's important that we keep that in mind. Okay, so now that you have understood the challenges of the organization, now let us look at what are the reasons that cause project failures. So if you're doing 100 projects Maybe some project will fail, some project will succeed, but there are not many which succeed properly. They just manage it. So PMI Project Management Institute, they published 16 reasons that cause project failures. And out of that, some of the most frequent factors are change in organization priorities. So I am doing the project, but suddenly there is a change in organization priorities and they want to do another project. But they said this project you continue and try to finish it. So you see the focus is lost. If the focus is lost, your organization priorities cannot be focused properly, then you have a tough time and the project may fail. So that is the cause of frequent failure. The next one is change in project objectives. So my objective for the project at the beginning of the project was we need to deliver these features for the project, for this IT project. But later down the life cycle of the project, again there is a change in project objectives and we need to deliver something else, some other features. So you see the team morale takes a hit and people again have to regroup, do the things in a different way. So this is a difficulty that we need to manage. So there is a change in project objectives which we need to manage carefully. The next one is opportunities and risks not defined. So we may have to do better risk management in the project. So the risk management is not done very effectively. So again, projects can fail. The next cause of failure is inadequate vision or goal for the project. So we do have the project goal, but then the focus is inadequate vision. The vision is not very clear. So we need to see how to manage that for the project very effectively. It's a very important requirement. And from the project, what product we get, that is also important. The next aspect we need to look at is inaccurate or poor cost estimates. So we are estimating, but we don't estimate the cost properly. Then what happens? We have cost overruns. The management says this much only cost is allowed. You are using over the budget. Other issues will come and the project may fail. So we need to be careful that we do proper cost estimates. And then resource dependencies. We are dependent on various staff for the project. That staff may not be available. We need to get some other person. We need to somehow manage the project. All these things create problem for the project and it may lead to failure. Similarly, task dependency. We may have dependencies on the task. So this task requires two people to do. So unless that other person completes, this guy cannot complete. So he may be waiting or he may see what to do. So in these type of situations, we need to look at a collaborative culture. If you don't have a collaborative culture, you are all working in silos and you are dependent on various tasks, you cannot deliver the project effectively to the customer. So you can still land up in project failure. And the last one is inexperienced project manager. This is one of the most important things which you need to see. As a project manager, you are the single person responsible for delivering the project to the customer. Responsible in the sense you are also accountable. Accountable for delivering the project to the customer. All the other people are responsible, including yourself. But the person who is accountable, to him only question is asked. To him or her, the question is asked, why the project failed? You can give any number of reasons. The resource was not there, we had less budget, we had this, we had that. But management is not looking at that. They are clearly looking at the fact that we hired you so that you can deliver the project effectively for the customer. And now you are telling all these excuses and the project has failed and you are not able to deliver. So it shows the inexperienced project manager. You see, experience is very important for project manager if they want to succeed in the future. So they should do different types of projects because every project is unique. And what you did earlier, you cannot do the same thing here again. So every project you learn a lot of things and then you use that for the next project and do better and better. That is how you go from project manager to program manager to portfolio manager, where you manage a whole portfolio made up of programs and projects. So you need to build your skills. And now in today's world, market landscape is changing so fast that it's difficult for project managers to adjust and be adaptable, agile, and things like that. So in this one-day program course, we teach you all these things: how to be adaptable, how to be agile, how to manage in the age of AI, and how you can, despite AI or any other new technology that is coming on the horizon, you can still manage all these things using KPPM, Kanban for project program and portfolio management, because it gives you a blueprint, it gives you a model, and if you know the model, you can use that model for running any project. And all IT projects, you can use that very comfortably, even non-IT projects. And it has a lot of steps and a lot of other things which we discuss in that one day program, where you learn all these things, and then you can immediately start applying them for your project to get success and do value delivery for your customer. So we have a map for which shows all the practices and other things. So I will be sharing the map with all of you during the course, and you will understand how to use that and how to implement that for your project. So we need to be very careful that we are not inexperienced, and we build our skills as a project manager to manage our projects effectively in an agile way using Kanban, and thereby manage new technologies also, whether it is AI or machine learning or data science or cyber security or any area that you are working on. We can manage those projects with KPP. So that is the power of this framework, this model, and it will help us to learn a lot of things. So you see, these are the important failures that we see in project, and KPPM helps us to address all these things. And that is why we are looking at understanding KPPM and how to implement it for our projects. We can use it in any domain. We can use it in banking domain, healthcare domain, manufacturing domain, retail domain. Any domain you want to look at, we can use it, including agriculture domain. So now that we have understood why KPPM and what are the factors for looking at KPPM and the reasons for the challenges in the project and the project failures, and also understood what is KPPM, now let us look at what are the foundations for KPPM. This is where it becomes very interesting, and we have a lot of techniques, and in the one day program, we'll be learning all these things. So looking at the foundations for KPPM, I will also share these entire KPPM details in the one day program, where you will learn how to do KPPM for your projects and how to manage it using this model. So first we need to look at the foundational thinking. What are the basic foundations and how do we think? So coming to that, we look at KPPM adopts a scientific problem solving approach. It is not like you think differently, I think differently and all that. All of us think differently. But when we use the model, the KPPM model, it helps us to adopt a scientific thinking. So what is a scientific problem solving approach? It means that just like scientists do the observations, hypothesis, and then find out if the hypothesis is okay, go with it. Otherwise, pivot and change the hypothesis, come up with a new hypothesis, and again test it. And if the test is successful, use that and move forward. So we are also adopting a similar scientific approach and a problem-solving approach. It's a problem-solving approach where we solve problems and look at various issues that we have in our project and manage our project work more effectively and deliver better value to the customer. So our focus is on adopting a scientific problem-solving approach, which is enabled by KPPM. So that helps you to cut down the bias, because I think differently, you think differently, somebody else thinks differently. So even if you think differently, it's okay, it's good. But by adopting KPPM, we are adopting a scientific problem-solving approach, a scientific thinking, so that we think without bias and focus on what are the key problems in the project and how to overcome using this model. And thereby, KPPM addresses the actual challenges that you face in the project organization. And as already discussed earlier, the three foundational elements of KPPM are the following: systems thinking, flow thinking, and how to grow collaborative culture. So we will discuss all this in detail during our one day program, where you learn all these things and how to look at them. And then we look at various other tactics by which to build our project management skills. So if you look at this here, what are the 4 tactics most frequently attempted by project managers to ensure the project is successful? So based on various studies, we found that these are the 4 tactics most frequently attempted. Okay, we are going to deliver this project. We are running behind time. We need to improve the schedule slippage is there and all. So we train the people and we say, okay, improve the individual productivity. So how you will improve individual productivity? Now in the age of AI, what has happened? We have a lot of tools which do the coding. So the software developers, even if they do coding, they cannot cope up with the speed at which the tools give the code. There may be some gaps right now, but those can be addressed through code review. But we get a lot of ways by which we can do code reviews and how to write the code better. So with, for example, a tool like GitHub Copilot, we can generate more code in a short period of time. We only need to do better reviews. But this is actually increasing individual productivity. So if in the project you have the people who are writing the code and they are working and using tools like GitHub at the lowest level, their productivity will automatically improve. So these are some tactics the project managers use to see how to improve the success of the project and how we can reduce schedule slippage. But you see, all these have to be tied to a model together, and that is how we use KPP. Then we look at increased project control requiring more frequent status reporting. So when we increase project control that require more frequent status reporting, this is actually nothing but micromanagement. We are trying to micromanage the project and see all of you give me reports every half an hour, 1 hour, and all, which is a waste of time. So we are doing techniques which are not good for the project, and ultimately our project will fail. So KPPM teaches us how not to do that and how to do things differently and how we can succeed in the project more successfully. The next point we look at is hire more people. So we think that if we have more people, we can deliver project faster. But we know from Frederick Brooks, the mythical man, the book which he had written long time back, maybe 50 years back, adding more people to a project makes the project still it becomes still delayed. So by just adding people to a project, you cannot do the project faster. You will only do it slower. Why is it? Because you have more communication issues. New people, they don't understand what's going on. They will do something else. So everything has to be communicated again to all the people. So you see communication channels increase drastically, exponentially. So then it does not work properly and we have a problem and the project slows down and then ultimately it gets delayed and then it's a failure. So whatever tactics we are using, it is leading to failure, not success. And then we'll have to restructure the organization. Restructuring the organization for every project or any other thing is not feasible, nor is it work well. And people may not feel comfortable. So we don't have to do this restructuring every time. So, but these are the tactics most frequently attempted by the management and the project managers and other people in different organizations to improve their project success. But you can see that using these tactics to improve project success does the exact opposite. Instead of improving project success, you are improving project failure because all these things are going in different directions. There is nothing which ties them together and the project slowly starts failing. So to address all these challenges, all these issues and other problems, we have different models, frameworks in the industry. And one of those models is called KPPM. And that is what we are going to learn in this one-day program, where you learn how to use Kanban to effectively manage all these things. So you see here, this is the example. I am increasing my project control so that I want more frequent status reporting. I want to know what you are doing and all. So I request more precise data more frequently. Because of that, more reporting, controlling and meeting time is spent. Because of that, then there is less time for doing actual project work. And because of that, more delays and overhead. This is a vicious cycle. Because I ask, give me more control and give me more status reporting and all, the team is doing only that. They don't do the work. There's nothing to do for project work because they are wasting time doing all this. So ultimately, this becomes a vicious cycle, more and more till finally the team collapses. And the project is a failure. So you see, whatever we are trying to do to build success is actually leading to failure. So we should know how to manage agile projects how to work in the age of AI, and how to see that we can deliver more successfully to the customer. We should know those techniques. We of course know these techniques, companies know these techniques, but they are not enough in today's world. They are leading to more failure than success. So now we need to see, are there any other models, frameworks in the industry which we can use to guarantee success? No, we cannot guarantee any success, but we can definitely increase the probability of success to a great extent. And that is what we have in the KPP. By implementing KPPM, you learn a lot of things and you see how we can use that for our projects and see we can deliver in a better manner. So that is the advantage of implementing Kanban for our projects. So in this one-day program, you will learn how to implement KPPM for a project, how to build your projects and manage your projects more effectively and deliver greater value to the customer and thereby success. So now let us see what is the hidden power of KPPM. Now that we understood what is KPPM, why KPPM, let us look at the hidden power of KPPM. So we may see that the main factor why KPPM is successful is we are blending the capability of KPPM, which is nothing but systems thinking, flow thinking, with collaborative culture and applying them to the interconnected Kanban systems. So what are Kanban systems? We learn all this in the course. So how do we set up the Kanban systems? Through interconnected Kanban systems, how we can manage all these things and how do we apply KPPM in these areas? That is what we'll be learning in the program. And this blend facilitates the management and achievement of organizational objectives. So by doing this and implementing KPPM, we will be able to achieve the organization's objectives in a much better manner. And let us look at what is Kanban system. So we learn what is a Kanban system, what are the elements of the Kanban system at a high level, and how we can use KPPM in association with Kanban systems to deliver more value for the customer. So a Kanban system is the most flexible and mature form of managing work. Of course, all of you would have heard of various agile techniques like Scrum and other things, but Kanban is more mature than Scrum and has a different way to approach agility. So whatever were the shortcomings in Scrum and other models and frameworks, Kanban helps to resolve those issues. That is why it is more effective in meeting the customer requirements. And the Kanban system is the most flexible and mature form of managing work. So we'll understand what are the elements of Kanban system, how to set it up, and how we can run that. So we become an experienced project manager knowing all this. So we feel more comfortable, we are more relaxed, and we know that we can use Kanban to deliver more success for our project and for the organization. So these skills we learn in this one-day course, which will enable you to build better skills in project management and help you to get more jobs in the future. So now, as we have been talking about all these things for some time, let us look at what are these things that we keep saying. As per PMI, Project Management Institute USA, we all know it's a project management organization. We have different terminologies used or project, program, portfolio. So what is project? So project is a simple temporary endeavor that is undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. It has a start date and an end date. It is unique and it is a temporary endeavor. So we have different types of projects, simple project, medium projects, complex projects, different types of projects. And we can have different criteria to define. Then what is program? Program is a collection of projects and services that together meet a defined objective. So program may have a separate objective and it may see what we have to do and how we have to define. So that is program. Then what is portfolio? Now portfolio is still bigger. It is a collection of projects, programs, and process and services that are managed together and optimized for the goals of the organization. So how do you understand this easily? You can take a non-IT example. You have the Tesla cars. So Tesla delivers cars to various places in the world. So the Tesla company will have programs, projects, and portfolios. So there may be a Tesla project to create a car with these specifications, Tesla S model. That is a project, start date, end date. maybe 1 year, 2 year project, whatever it is. Now, like that, they have a lot of different car models and they do all the things together. And apart from the car model, they also provide after sales service and all that. So you can see that the program in Tesla company is a collection of projects and services. So they deliver Model S, Model T, Model R, whatever, and they also provide after sales service, this service, that service. So together, that projects and services collection is called program. And then in Tesla, there are many departments. So one department will be doing the portfolio, which is nothing but catering to a segment in the world. Maybe they are catering to the North America market. So the North American market has a portfolio made up of projects, programs, and process, which are specifically fine-tuned for the North American market. So the portfolio comes into picture here. So one person would be looking at the portfolio for North America. One person may be looking at portfolio for Middle East. One person may be looking at portfolio for South Asia, Southeast Asia, and things like that. So you can create portfolio from various different techniques or approaches. One is you can create the portfolio from the sales perspective. You can create portfolio from your department perspective. So each department has portfolio, and then they will see how to manage that. So it all depends on how we define it and what are the things we put in each area, and then plan it accordingly. Because the funding that happens, they don't give only to project level lowest. It is easy for them to fund the portfolio, and from the portfolio you can decide what amount should go to which program, which project, and things like, depending on which project is more valuable, which project is less valuable, and various other things like that. So you can see now how project, program, and portfolio are created and managed in the company, and how we can deliver this to the customer more effectively. And this is where KPPM comes. We implement the KPPM model in these type of companies, and it will help us to manage our project, our program, our portfolio more effectively. So in order for us to deliver these projects, programs, portfolios to the customer, these organizations, enterprises or companies, they need to plan their work. You cannot simply say, okay, I will do this tomorrow, I'll give you a, because so many people are involved. A project may be 5-10 people made up of multiple teams, then 50 people, 100 people. Program may be not less than 150, 200, so many people will be there. Portfolio may be 500, 1,000, 2,000. So this depends on the size of the company. Company is very small, they may have smaller people for project, program, portfolio. Company is very big, they may have a lot of people for project, program, portfolio. So it all depends from company to company. We cannot have generic ways of saying this much means program. So in order to do all these things, we need to plan the work. Then we need to monitor the project. We need to monitor the program. We need to monitor the portfolio. And when we look at portfolios, we'll have strategic goals also. The strategic goals are nothing but your OKRs, objectives and key result. And you need to see how to meet those things, and so many things will be there, including strategic execution. How do you meet the strategic goal? So the strategic goal in Tesla could be that I want to increase the North American market share of Tesla cars from 10% to 20% for year 2025. So this year that is their strategic goal. So now how to do that? That is done through portfolio, program, project, and then it is linked to OKR and objectives and key results. Various key results are there, and you need to meet that requirement. So you see, it is becoming more and more complicated and complex. So how can I do this without failing in any area? That is where KPPM comes. It helps us to plan all these things more effectively, set up our systems, Kanban systems, and we will get use tools, techniques, practices to see how to build this, and we can deliver better value for customer. Because as we implement Kanban, you will understand that visualization is a very key factor that we need to focus, as that will give us a lot of benefits. And that will help us to adapt changes. We learn a lot of things, we execute effectively, and we measure the output. So in order to do that, KPPM has defined 4 practice groups. One is called the planning group, one is called communicate group, one is called monitor and adjust, one is learn and adapt. These are similar to your PMI, project management professional groups, initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, and closure, something like that. So here we have 4 different practice groups, which are agile, adaptive, and focused on how to use Kanban for managing the projects. Plan, communicate and align, monitor and adjust, and learn and adapt. So under these groups, we have a lot of practices, and we will learn all that in our course, where we see what are the planning practices, how to do it, all those things. We'll also have case studies and other things where you will all be actually doing it, making your hands dirty and learning how to implement this in your project, so that when you get back to your company, you are more confident, you can easily implement KPPM for your project. So now, what are the advantages of implementing KPPM for the organization? So if you see this, you visualize the flow of work in your organization. You visualize the process and workflow of projects. So visualization is a very important thing. You know how to implement that. You set clear priorities and decision-making criteria. You have feedback loops to enable alignment. You set clear priorities and decision-making criteria. You use flow-related data to manage the work, and you apply a problem-solving data-based approach to improve organizational performance. So that is our key focus area, how to adopt a problem-solving approach, a data-based approach to improving our organizational performance. Now, these are the advantages of implementing KPPM. You will get to know even more when you undertake the course and learn a lot of things in that area. Finally, the last slide. What are the topic areas covered in this one-day program KPP? So we look at evolutionary change. We look at KPPM principles. We look at the evolutionary model of KPPM. We then look at problems in existing projects. What are the various practice and tools of KPPM? And what are the Kanban metrics we use? What are the continuous improvement? The benefits of KPPM? And practice and cultural values map of KPPM. So we have all these things. So the program may be a one-day program or a two-day program, depending on what are all the topic areas that we cover. So all these things will be covered fully in the two-day program, and the practices and cultural values map of KPPM is also discussed. So it has got around 80 practices, 80 plus practices and cultural values, and we will learn how to use it in a case study that we will implement for a specific project, and we do all these practical workshops. So you learn all these things, and that will make you more effective as a KPPM certified project manager who learns how to implement Kanban for project portfolio and programs. So with this, end of our session, and we have around 10 minutes left for any Q&A. Any questions? If you have, we can discuss. I will stop the share now so that we can discuss if any questions. Yeah, please go ahead. Any questions, anybody? We'll also be discussing the full framework during our 1 or 2 day program, the KPPM framework with all its levels, steps, everything we'll be discussing during that time. Any questions? Or we are good?
You can utilize the chat box if you're too shy to speak up, or you can simply unmute your mic.
Okay, thank you, Intan. Thank you. No questions at the moment. Very good. Thanks. Definitely, we'll have a lot of other discussions when we do the course. So you'll learn a lot of things at that time. Anybody else, any questions? If you have, please indicate in the chat. Or you can speak up also, perfectly fine.
I guess they have they don't have much questions for now, Sir Vasan.
Yeah, yeah. Sure, no problem. When they attend, they'll learn to know more things and they'll have a lot of questions. No problem. Perfectly fine.
Yes, definitely. Okay. If there are no more questions, as always, I would ask everyone to turn on their camera.